This is It's Not in the Syllabus podcast, the how-tos of a student beyond classroom walls. This is the podcast where you, yes you, get to learn what they don't teach you at school and ace that test called life, or at least get a passing grade and get by. It's Not in the Syllabus is a podcast brought to you by the Adventist International Institute of Advanced Studies, together with the Student Association, where we feature stories by the students and for the students. Join us as we discover life lessons you'll surely need.
Welcome to another episode of It's Not in the Syllabus. Today we are in episode 25 and we are still talking about the theme mission and service, and particularly today we'll be discussing a topic of raising a missionary child at home. And to have this discussion, I have with me the privilege of having Pastor Cai and his child, I would say his kid, Muyi, Brother Muyi. So let me give a background of Pastor Cai. Pastor Cai is coming from China, and he's a student, I would say Ph.D. candidate in Old Testament. He has taught in China Seminary and is now here to further his academic degree, while Muyi's son is in AIIAS Academy. So how are you guys doing?
We're doing fine.
Good. Loosen up, relax. This is a funny time, you know.
Yes.
It's a funny conversation where we want to see or we want to know how to raise a missionary child at home. So let me begin with this discussion. So what are some of the fundamental elements that we embed by raising a missionary child like your son Muyi at home? Let me begin with your dad, and then Muyi can also reply to that.
Okay.
Yes.
First of all, thank you, Eddie,
Yeah.
for inviting us to have a record here.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to summarize the fundamental principles that we embedded in our home for raising a missionary child. I use a word TIE, T-I-E, and TIE stands as talent. Since Muyi was young, I just observed his talent, and finally, he has an interest in music.
Okay.
So
and
we just do our best to support him.
Okay.
In the purpose of help him develop his talent and serve in the church.
Okay.
So when he feel much better, when he feel much better in this instrument playing, I think he will be motivated, to involve in the service. And this is the first element I want to emphasize. The second, I stand as involvement. I still remember when he was young, wherever I go, visit, or we have a choir practice and church service, and wherever, I just always bring him to the service. I think at that time, because I'm in charge the choir practice, that's why he got the inspiration of the music.
Oh,
that's why he.
Wow. So you sing also?
Yes.
Wow.
Before.
I think the music directed I need to explore your talent. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, just as many as possible to involve the kids, in the service. And when I was doing the children ministry here in Philippines in Belos Church, I also involved James, to participate, to tell the story to the kids, to share the food. Yeah. So this is the second one, involvement, and the third one, E stand as an example.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So because missionary, I mean, the missionary spirit, I think sometimes is less by teaching, but more by example.
Definitely.
If I want my son to be a missionary, first of all, I need to be a missionary to involve the ministry.
Definitely.
So this is the elements I want to point out.
Wow. So you actually raise you have three main ideas: talent, involvement, and example. What a wonderful way. I think from this we can summarize this conversation. But it's interesting that you have identified his talent. You have, after identify his talent, you make sure that you involve him. And it's a good thing, because I enjoy the discussion of talent, because talent can be developed.
Yeah.
And so you see, no, this talent is an inclination for music, so this can be developed. Develop how? By evolving, by setting an example, because the father could also sing back in the days, but we're going to try the singing sometime later. So Moy, how do you see your dad being involving you in activities, and by making sure these fundamentals are really embedded in your life? How do you see it today?
I see it as an opportunity for me to how to say, get more involved in the ministry. I think that maybe other people that haven't known Jesus in their life, I think it's a good opportunity. It's because I had it firsthand in my family, so I wanted to share that experience with them. So that's what I think about being involved in the ministries.
So by being involved, you also want to share the same experience that you have in your family with other people, because this is a missionary mindset and missionary oriented. I'm interesting to understand, because when we look about missionary, or raising a missionary at home, we are then discussing the idea of, we cannot run away from globalization, which is the influence of social medias and so many other things. He's a young man, so he has friends, he has social media platforms. So how do you still make sure that although there are those influences around him, but I can still keep my son to have a missionary mind? How do you do that as a pastor?
For me, I saw the social media as a two-edged sword. In one aspect, it may provide the information,
definitely,
and it may give you some inspiration, even sometimes by watching the video,
definitely,
by listening to music. But on the other hand, we also maybe I can say influenced by some ideology behind the video, behind the music. So for me, my personal opinion is we have to be very careful to dealing with the social media. For me, our kids is growing by education in school, in church, in society, at home. Social media is kind of society, the virtual society. They are growing. They are get the education.
Definitely.
So regarding this, I always have conversation with my son to be careful. Whatever you listen, whatever you watch, it's better to choose to select some select some videos which provide the biblical worldview, Christian worldview, and the values, because they are growing with educating by so many things, but they are also forming their worldview and their values. So I just always has conversation with my son, and also sometimes I suggest him, why don't you open your own YouTube channel to play the music, so which may inspire others.
Correct.
So when we talk about the social media, we have to be very careful.
Be very careful. So there must be a distinction on how young people should use, not only young people, but how everybody should use social media. And I like that you said you see social media as a two double-edged sword.
Yeah.
One can provide information and one can provide distraction.
Yeah.
That's for me. It's just a mind-blowing. Muyi, you are a son of a pastor. You cannot run away from it. You're a PK. So how do you describe your life as a son of a pastor? So being raised in a mission in a pastoral household, how do you describe your life?
I want to describe my life in more of enjoyable way, because people might think that being a pastor's kid might involve being restricted from many other things.
Yeah.
And you should be like this and
Yeah.
like this. But for me, I think that I really enjoy that I'm raised in this household.
Yeah.
Because my parents have set a very good example for me, and I really look up to them and to the things that they have been doing in the church and for the ministry. So I'd say my life as a pastor's kid is very nice.
Very nice. I like that, because why we have to discuss about this is sometimes pastor's kid. I have many pastors kids friends. We have this idea that a pastor's kid should be perfect. He should be walk in a upright line. We are all sinners. We're not saying that they should make mistake, but we as a church member, we expect them to set an example, and that is correct. They should set an example. But we talk so much when pastors' kids make mistakes, and we talk less when they are doing well in life, when they are setting example.
Right.
We don't talk when they are setting examples, but when they are messing up with women, with drugs, so now we begin to have a conversation. Muyi, let me know. Tell us in our discussion. Tell us, those who are watching here, what are some of disadvantages, if any, that you have encountered as being a pastor kid? Some of disadvantages and advantages. I enjoy what you said. You see it as a good thing, but is there ever time that you feel, well, I wish my father was a businessman? And Chinese are very good businessmen, by the way. Yes.
For me, to me, everything has an advantage and a disadvantage.
Definitely.
So, what I see is that maybe sometimes in the church or when we are having church services, I feel like I have to be the one that's doing the right things all the time.
In church, right?
Yeah, in church. Especially when all the church members are there, and you feel like there's some pressure from the people, and sometimes you cannot act strangely or even do for example, picking your nose in the church. I think that's inappropriate, but I wouldn't do that in front of everyone. So that's maybe kind of a disadvantage for me. Yeah.
That'd be one of the disadvantages, which is it's common, and it's interesting that we need to start having those conversations, because in as much there are good things when you are a pastor kid, there's also a downside of it. Pastor Cai, let me ask you, has there been a time that you felt or you questioned your education strategies to raise your children as a missionary individual? Is there a time that you say, oh, really, is that really the right method?
Yeah, of course. When you ask this question, immediately a story come to my mind.
All right, we have time for stories.
I still remember one day. That is the time when I was also fresh here in AIIAS, and one day James Muyi, he came to me with tears. He said, "Dad, I don't have the friends. The friends want to talk to me."
Yeah.
I said, "Why?" He said, "We don't. I cannot participate, or I cannot involve in their communication." Why?
Wow.
Because they're always talking about playing video games, but you do not allow me to play video games. at that time, I'm thinking because I come from the can I use the conservative, the culture, from China, of course, and in our church setting, the children should behave very properly. Especially dealing with the video games. Never, never. So at that time, I'm also adjusting my cultural background into this culture, the Philippines. So I still keep that mind that do not play video games.
Not but every day.
Not every day. Never. So
wow.
This is the time I'm thinking, wow, what should I do to this boy who feel helpless. Helpless, or also no happy.
Not happy.
So at that point, I think about seriously about the culture gap about me and also how to help my son to be happy, to be involved in the group, in his friend, the circle. At the same time, do not let some other things to affect him so much. So that is a time.
So that is the time you question when you saw your young boy come home crying because he couldn't play a video game while his friends they're enjoying. And I'm sure some of them they even enjoy playing game on Sabbath when the pastor is preaching. So while Mo is like, I can't relate. I like that you said you have adjusted. Because it was a time for both of you to learn, maybe the mother also, for parents to learn how can possibly we as a parent adjust to this new environment. So Moy, how do you feel that time when you see, I cannot relate with my friends? I know you cried, but now if you look back, what will you say?
I'd say that my dad had the best strategy for that situation, because now when I look at kids when I was young,
you need to clarify that because you're still young.
When I was still like a little kid, when kids really engage in video games, the young minds cannot get out of the addiction. So I think my dad really made the right choice, and he told me to choose the right things that are beneficial. And but people might say that video games have blah 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 disadvantages, but he clarified that addiction is always not good.
It's not good.
So to me, I understand, and I just listen to him.
Good. It's good thing that you listen to him. But now, do you have games in your phone? Do you play games? And what type of games do you play?
Don't
worry, your dad will not be angry.
I'm more
because the reason why I'm asking this is because maybe those games can also help the younger viewers at home. So tell me.
So there also came a time that I was kind of stubborn, and that time my dad told me to, you know what, you can play games that help your mind to exercise your mind. So for starters, I started playing it's chess in Chinese with my dad. That was the first time. And then we started doing more and more, but then it came to a time that my dad told me that, okay, I think it's time that you know what is good for you and what's not. So right now the games that I play is more of it's more exercising the mind.
Mind development. I like that. It reached a time you as a father, you gave him choice. Say, boy, I will not control you anymore.
Yeah.
It's you now have the time to make your decisions. It's fundamental for parents to reach a time where they'll say, from here, you make your choice. You also need to fall if necessary, but I'll be here. But I already told you what are the ways that you should go.
Yeah.
Pastor Cai, someone is watching at home now saying, what are some of the advice that you give for those parents to raise missionaries children at home?
For us as a missionary, one thing is that we live a mobilized life. We move from this place to that place. Sometimes, the multiple culture will affect us. For the children, they will be confused with their identity. For me, I always want to emphasize the Christian identity, especially in our setting as an Adventist, SDA, by telling the stories of the family. How God did our family to this point. And how God works in my heart as a father to convert me, to save me, to help me to grow. And sometimes I also, remind my son James how his personal experience with God, right? How God lead him, protect him, or help him in his in some accident, always remind him so that he remember, in my life, God works, God in our family life, God involves. So in such a way, to help my son to have his Christian identity, to see that God is important in our lives, in our family.
Good. I like that idea that you need to see how God has led you and you need to adjust when you go to one culture to another. As a missionary, you said you are moving. Yeah, that is the missionary mindset. You are on the move, and you may end up in Africa, you may end up in Europe, you may end up in China. So, but the advice that a father and a mother should have, that they are guided to raise their children, what will you say? Number one, let's say maybe devotion. Number two, maybe develop a personal encounter with Jesus. Number three, involving them in mission. I know you have said that, but in very briefly, what will be your advice to parents who are watching this podcast on how they should raise a missionary child?
I think raise a missionary child by influence is the most important thing, at least for me. And how to influence our children, I think we have to give more time to the child, especially when missionary's life or the work is busy. Sometimes move here to there, and in our setting, we are busy in writing, in study. Sometimes we will ignore,
the
family, the child, especially when they are growing. I think this is when they grow up. I finished my dissertation and they already grew up. I missed the most important, period of his growth. That's why we have to be balanced, to give more, more time to our son, our daughter, and talk with them, and communicate with them. And sometimes I discuss with James. I talk to him, ask him his personal challenge and his dream. Especially when we dream the future. And what his favorite, occupation, future job. And when he mentioned, I want to be a musician, and I will immediately ask him, how can you use your talent to glorify God? How can you share the gospel in your working place? I just remind him, whatever you do in the future, do not remember your identity as a missionary, as a Christian, as a missionary. So you may spend a lot of time in your job, but do not spend all the time of your life only in your job, but also do something for God, to glorify God in your environment, in the working place.
Amen. I like that. Moy, any response to that? What will you say to someone, maybe your friends who are watching this, how they can be a missionary children?
My advice for people that are around my age or even younger or older is, there are very good examples in the Bible, and I feel like the more that we can understand and have a closer relationship with God, and we can develop that in our character.
Wonderful.
And our character says it all about us.
Amen.
And I think the ultimate goal for everyone is to become more like Jesus. So
wow.
That is my advice.
Good. Thank you. And as I listened to your final remarks, I was just meditating on what you said, that Pastor Cai said, we have to spend time with our children. Almost tears fall all out of my eyes, because I have a son and I've never touched him. So I don't want to miss that particular moment, and I've come to a conclusion that I think PhD dissertation can wait. I need to also develop a time with my family so I can also raise a missionary individual in my house. So today we have learned on how to raise a missionary child, and I enjoy the idea that Pastor Cai said it here, that we have to identify their talents first. After identify their talents, involve them. After you involve them, you set an example. So if you want to raise a successful missionary children, you as a parent, you need to set an example, because this DNA, they learn based on example, not much by words, but how you have set example at your house, how you treat your wife, how you have a relationship with God. So they will see those things and will imitate, and at the end of the day we say, oh, how come he's like this? It's because you've set a positive example. So with that, I would like to thank you for being with us today, and I hope we can still continue this conversation, and by next time we have this conversation, your mom should be here also. We are not excluding her, but for the sake of this conversation and the space that we have here, we just decided to invite the father and the son. Thank you so much, and
Thank you.
We see you in the next podcast. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.